Today I want to teach you how to make a final hiring decision. And this is how the pros do it. So I'm assuming that you've been interviewing job candidates and you've got your number down to maybe 3 or 5 final candidates. And you're wondering, how do I decide which one to hire? Which one is going to be the best candidate? I mean, if I interviewed them, they can all do the job, but which one is going to be the right one? Which one's going to be the best one? Which one is going to last the longest in this role? Now, I'll tell you, there's 6 questions that you need to ask yourself before you hire anyone. I mean, you've already spent hours asking candidates questions, but the best questions are the ones that you ask of yourself. And there's 6 of them. And the first one is, can they do the job? Now, chances are, if they've made it this far in your hiring process, they can do the job. But does the job reinforce their nature? Like, let's say, for example, let's say they're a people person and they get along with everybody and they love socializing, they love talking to people, and they're very charismatic. Well, taking that person and giving them a job where there's no interaction with people isn't going to suit their nature. And so if it doesn't suit their nature, the job isn't going to fulfill them. And if their job doesn't fulfill them, they're just going to quit, which means they're not going to last long in the role. So you want to make sure that the job you're hiring this person for suits who they are as a person, so that it fulfills them inside, so that they can continue to grow. Moving on to number 2, will they do the job? Meaning, will the relationship last? I mean, does this job meet their own personal goals? I mean, if it doesn't, they're going to leave. They're going to be out here in 6 months. So you want to know where they want to be in maybe 3 years. I mean, if they want to be making $500,000 in 3 years and this job only pays $100,000, then the job isn't going to meet their long-term goals, which means they're not going to last in the role. Or let's say this job is for a computer analyst or a computer programmer, but the person wants to be a financial analyst down the road. Well, those are 2 completely different careers. I mean, maybe the person is totally capable of being a programmer, but in their heart they want to be a financial analyst, but they're willing to do this job for a while for you. Don't hire them. The relationship isn't going to last. If they want to be in finance, but they happen to be good at computer programming, don't bring them in, because the job isn't going to fulfill their long-term goals. And in 6 months or a year, they're going to be out of here. And you are looking for people who are going to last 2 or 3 years in the role. So the next question to ask is, are they the right fit for the company? I mean, do they share the same values as your company? Are they attracted and excited and enthusiastic about the vision of the company and where it's going and what it does and what its mission is? And are they in alignment with the type of people who already work there? I mean, if you already have a culture of people who are constantly pushing and nudging each other to do better and to do better and to do better, and this person isn't quite like that, then they're not going to fit in. They're going to always be an outlier inside of your company. And they won't get along with everybody. They won't have the same rapport with everybody. And they won't be pushing everybody else. I mean, if you have a team of A players who are constantly nurturing and pushing each other to do better, those A players might push this new person in there, but that new person, because it's not part of their values, they're not going to give back. They're not going to push everybody else to do better. And then what you have is you have kind of an oddball working for you. And they're either going to quit, or worse, they're going to stay and keep working for you, and they're never going to perform at the same level, that same high performance level that everybody else is in your company. So after answering those 3 questions, if you're still not sure who to make your offer to, the next question you ask yourself is, which candidate poses the least risk to your business? And that's probably one of the most important questions, because you might have 2 or 3 candidates who can all do the job and you like them, but which one is the least risky? That's really what it boils down to. And what I mean by that is, which candidate is going to be in the role for the longest time with the likelihood of doing the best job? I mean, that's really what you want. I mean, you might be able to find people who can do the job and are good at it, but they might only last a year in the job. I mean, for you to make your money back on a candidate, they at least need to be in the role for 2 years, preferably longer. And that's why you want a candidate who poses the least risk to the position, the company, and the team. And I mean, you also might find a candidate who is wonderful. Yeah, they might be there long term. They can do the job, but maybe they're not quite the culture fit, which means they're not going to fit in with everybody else. And if they don't fit in with everybody else, you're not going to have that synergy back and forth. So again, they pose a risk to the company. They might also pose a risk to your customers. There's all kinds of different risks. Only you know what your risks are, but this is a question that you need to be asking yourself. Now, if you're still stuck, the next question to ask yourself is, which candidate has the most room to grow? So maybe you're down to 3 or 5 candidates, and maybe this is a lateral move for some of them. And maybe for 1 or 2 of them, this is a step up. And this is an opportunity for them to grow. I mean, yeah, they don't know everything about the role. They have to grow into it. But it's so much better for you as a business owner or hiring manager to put somebody in a role where they have room to grow. Because now when they get in there, they're really excited about it. They don't know everything that's going on. And so they have to push themselves into that role. They have to strive to do harder. If you put somebody in a role who's where it's a lateral move for them, they're not going to be all that excited about it. They're not going to be excited to go out there and, pound the pavement, hit the ground hard. They're not going to push themselves like someone who has room to grow. And that's another super important question. Find out which candidate you believe has the most room, who can benefit the most from this role. And the last question you need to ask yourself is, which candidate is the hungriest for the job? They have the right personality, they have the right fit, they have the skills, but which one is the hungriest? Which one can't sleep at night? Which one has been bugging you, been sending you texts, been calling you, been emailing you, not annoying you, but just genuinely excited about the role and the opportunity, and that just feels that they can do the best in this? They are hungry for it, they are excited about it, and they really want to be in this role. And they're on board with where your company is going. They're probably so attracted to your mission statement and your vision that this job feels like a natural fit for them. And that's one of the best questions to ask yourself is, who is the hungriest for it? Who wants it more than anybody else? I mean, you've always heard the squeaky wheel gets the grease. It's kind of the same thing. Now, you can't just listen to everybody, because some people are just going to be real whiny about the job. But listen for people who aren't whiny, and see past that and see if there's something inside of them that is just ready to explode, and they're just a total natural fit for your company, for your team, for your customers, for your business, for your products. Those are the questions you want to ask yourself. Now, I know I told you that these are the 6 best questions, but you know what? While I was making this video, I came up with another one. And there's actually 7 questions to ask yourself. And the final question is, if you've gotten down to maybe 2 people left, and you can't decide who to pick because they're just mirror images of each other, the question to ask yourself now is, would I want this person working for my competition? And that question doesn't get you thinking. Like, would you want them going over there? Would you want them working for, competitor X? And if you don't care about that, then you've made your decision. If you don't want your competition to have this person, then you've answered your own question and you know who to make the offer to. Now, there's actually another step, another process that you can go through. If you're still stuck after all these 7 questions, you're still stuck, I don't know who to hire. Put the candidates in a candidate audition. Put them on the job. Bring them in, to have them work a half day, put them in a meeting, take them on sales calls, give them a small project to do. I mean, if this is for a programmer position, give them some troubleshooting stuff. Put them through a simulation of how to troubleshoot a program. Or if this is for an IT position, put them in a lab and have them solve some technical problems. And you could do this in a couple hours. This could be just a test that you email them. It could be anything, but it's called a candidate audition. And I tell you, hardly anybody does them, but what they allow you to do is to evaluate somebody on the job before you actually hire them. I mean, you might put them through a simulation, you might bring them on a meeting, you might have them work on some things, and you might very quickly find out that, we like this guy, but he ain't got it. The other one is the clear winner. Or you might get in the situation where you bring them in and they work for a day and they're like, I don't think I really want this job. How valuable would that be to you if they decided that after just working a few hours in an audition that they didn't want this job, they didn't like it. They thought they wanted it, but they didn't, and they're like, I'm out of here. I mean, Tony Hsieh of Zappos used to do this. What they would do is they would put candidates in a 1-week boot camp. And that's where you got to go through, all the ups and downs of the jobs and, all kinds of training. And this is after you've gone through the whole interview process and you were selected to be hired, you'd go through this 1-week boot camp. So after the boot camp, after that was up, they would come to you and say, okay, we'll give you $2,000 right now to quit. And Tony was actually really smart to do this because what he did was he was buying out people who weren't 100% on board with Zappos and where Zappos was going. He wanted people who were attracted to his vision and his mission, and anybody who wasn't was dead weight and he didn't want them. He didn't want someone working a job for 6 months and then just quitting. He wanted people who wanted to be there. And that's why he offered him $2,000 to leave. Now, some people would take it. And Tony would be like, yes, that's awesome. I'm glad to pay that money now because you just saved me tens of thousands of dollars. And for the other people, they're like, you know what? The $2,000 is nothing. I am here for Zappos. I am going to be here long term. This is what I want. So think about that before you make your final hiring decision. Now, to help you with your next interview process, I created a brand new book called The 7 Master Steps to Hiring A Players. And it walks you through 7 steps of hiring people, how to create a scorecard, how to properly interview candidates, how to do values phone screen interviews, how to do auditions, how to check references, covers everything. So you just follow this blueprint and it just walks you through the whole process and teaches you how to interview candidates from start to finish and make a final informed hiring decision. Just head on over to thesimplehiringsystem.com, put your name and email address in there, tell me where to send this book. I will get it out to you right now, even if it's 2 a.m. in the morning. All right, my friend, that is all I have for you today. I sincerely wish you the very best of luck in growing your business and hiring the best, most talented, most competent people into your business so that it thrives. I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.